With the calendar changing to August, you know what that means. College football is right around the corner, and so is year 2 of the Sean Lewis era at San Diego State. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Aztecs All In. The podcast, as the name suggests, goes all in on the athletic endeavors happening on Montezuma Mesa. Of course, this podcast isn't possible without my partner in podcasting, the extremely talented and sometimes opinionated Steve Perez. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Hey, Lewis. How are you? I don't know how opinionated I would be. I think these days it would depend on how many advertising dollars we're getting from those guys who always throw around the latest supplement to be advertised.
Well, we can't divulge that. We can't divulge that, can we? Coming up on Aztecs All In, who will be behind center in the season's opener against Stony Brook? We may be getting some hints.
And believe it or not, the Aztecs did some book learning over the summer break, brief as it was. We're going to check in with Coach Lou and some of the team leaders to see how much they took in.
And 2 of the Mountain West's best linebackers hail from San Diego. And despite being on different teams, they do keep a close eye on each other. So all that ahead. But Steve, let's get started with football and fall practice. We both got out there this week. Your thoughts early on?
Oh, I don't know. This was the impression first off. Physically impressive. The players that I saw either were brought before the media or also on the playing field. I mean, you'd hate to see Trey White bearing down on you out of the corner of your eye, or trying to take down running back Lucky Sutton, who looks even more physically imposing this year than last. And then even kicker Gabe Placencia, he likes to go see if he can hit someone after kicking off, because, man, it's football. I'd probably go sort of angling down the sidelines during the return and pray that the whistle blows before he lays into me. And then the last note is at wide receiver. During the hour or so, I caught practice day 1, redshirt freshman Will Cianfrini wearing number 17, hoovering up balls from everywhere on the field, Lewis. Short, deep, high, low. UT's Kirk Kenney reports he was slowed in the spring by a hamstring pull, but no sign of that when I was paying attention. And the Aztecs are going to need a posse of receivers for this offense. Jordan Napier's the speedster returning, but the up-tempo offense is going to require so many more.
Yeah, I was only able to stay out there for the first 30 minutes, which is when the media is allowed to watch. So I didn't get a lot of specific reads on any players. But what I did notice was the energy and the excitement and the enthusiasm while these guys were going through their drills. Coach Lewis was there in the middle, pushing them on. And, they looked excited and they looked energetic and they wanted to be there. And that might be the case for every college football team, the first practice or 2 of the season. But I think it's important to see that these guys really want to be there and that, they support their coach. And, after last year's not very good season, it's great to see this start, I think.
Kirk Kenney reported the quote after he referred to it in his writing as disappointing finish. Lewis called it embarrassing. But that's what happens when you play the game. And I look for some substantial improvement this season because it's the second year. And Coach Sean Lewis doesn't strike me as a guy who stands pat. He seems to learn and not be afraid to try new things.
Yeah, well, I was there for day 2, but you were there for day 1. So let's get a listen to what happened.
This past Monday, Coach Lewis meets the media before the commencement of the fall football camp. It began Wednesday. He had a few new wrinkles to share off the top if you haven't heard, along with some important dates for Aztec Nation to keep on the calendar this month. Tops on the list, thank you to current season ticket holders. It started Wednesday, will continue for all remaining practices through August 12th. A chance to check out the team's practice and see for yourself how hard they are all working to gear up for the 2025 football season, their final one in the Mountain West. And don't forget about FanFest at Snapdragon August 14th. There's some social media giveaways on X and Instagram, along with a big date on a big ship August 21st. Take a listen.
The practices will be open as a way to say thanks. You guys' never-ending support. So information will be coming out through the ticket office for you to be able to come down. We'll be practicing for the next 2 weeks from 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning. We have off days on July 30th and August 13th. But any other time in there starting Wednesday through the 13th, current season ticket holders, come on out. Want to show, say thanks and thank you for your support and engage with you more and build those bonds and build those connections. We also dropped last week a little save the date information about FanFest, which will be on August 14th. So 2 weeks out from the season opener. We'll be kicking off at 7:05. It'll be an open scrimmage for all of our fans to be able to come out, support this new Aztec team, right, and be able to get a first glimpse, first look at what this team looks like in a full scrimmage opportunity. We're also going to be showing off for the first time some new game day experiences, introducing some new game day traditions that's going to make Snapdragon the place to be this fall. So want our fans to be a part of that. A little bit of dress rehearsal for the fans as well. So 2 weeks from that date, we can have an awesome home experience. Also, more information will be forthcoming about other save the dates, more giveaways. So make sure all of Aztec Nation that you're following along on Twitter at AztecFB and on Instagram at Aztec Football. Currently on those social media platforms is our The Climb mini-series that Io and the marketing team have done a great job with in partnering with Quinto to give a behind the look, never before seen access of everything that we've been doing since January, since we've been back. And there's going to be episodes that will be dropping every single week leading up to the season. So again, want to pull the curtain back in this era of football, really kind of taking the helmet off and getting our community, our fans to be able to see who the guys are underneath the helmets so that they can really engage with them. One last important date, save the date, mark it, August 21st at 6 p.m. We're going to be having our Aztec kickoff dinner down on the Midway. So kind of revamping this awesome event, but doing that down on the Midway, right downtown in the harbor. Going to have a great night with players and coaches. Again, 1 week out from kicking off the season. The guest speaker is an elite individual with deep Aztec ties. More details to come.
So Coach Lou has that coach speak going. It includes the humility about his intelligence level, if you haven't heard it before. And I've heard a lot of coaches use the same self-deprecating phrase. They all say, I'm really not that smart. Now, some coaches, along with people like me who say that, they're telling you the God's honest truth. But Coach Sean Lewis, I'm personally convinced we're talking about a coach who is smarter than the average bear. And he's one who truly values education and the college education experience. So on that note, it was cool to hear him talk about current GPA of the active roster. Features a team GPA of 3.0, not too shabby for such a big group of young men from vastly different backgrounds. I could tell he was proud of that, which he notes was the second time out of the last 3 semesters. So before moving on, want to check in with one member of the Aztec Nation faithful. That would be Matt Pohl, checking out the first day of practice, kicking it in a lawn chair in the shade with his black felt hat, red and black braids, an old school warrior pin on the side, his Aztec Athletic Foundation badge. Says he's been a season ticket holder since the Marshall Falk days in 1991. Also says he misses the Q, or as they used to call it, San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium. He's seen a few coaches and teams come and go. So what about this one? Well, he says he's just counting his blessings.
It's like I tell folks, I'm 86 years old. I'm upright and taking nourishment. My income covers my expenses. I'm fully COVID vaccinated and triple boosted. My great-grandson turned 4 in February. I've been retired for 31 years, and my waistline is paid for. How bad can it be?
Not bad at all, Matt. Thank you very much.
Take care of yourself.
86 years old. How about that, Lewis? You see us doing this podcast when we're his age? Should have asked him to clarify that comment about his waistline. It sounds like me when people ask about mine. What's your waistline, Perez? My waistline? Well, my waistline is... Lewis, lots of storylines going through any fall football camp. Of course, the biggest one always, who's going to handle the ball to start off every offensive play? Last year's freshman who took most all the snaps is gone. Aztecs, via the TP, now have 2 experienced athletic upperclassmen who you looked in on during day 2 of the fall camp, right?
Steve, ask Coach Sean Lewis about the quarterback situation, and he'll tell you it's a competition that will be settled soon. But talking today with offensive coordinator and quarterback coach Matt Johnson, I was left with a different impression. Right now, it appears to be a battle between two SDSU newcomers, junior transfer Jayden Denegal out of Michigan and junior Bert Emanuel Jr. out of Central Michigan. Also in the mix is returning junior Kyle Crum. Johnson had high praise for all three, adding that they all bring different strengths to the table.
Jayden obviously has a big arm. I think his decision-making has gotten a lot better, and I also think that comes with time within the system, and that goes for really all of them. You know what I mean? Even Crum, who this is his second year in the system, you're just going to start seeing things a lot faster. Bert obviously adds the athleticism piece that we didn't have last year. I think he's made tremendous strides within the throw game, but he just brings an element that we haven't had in a long time with his legs. Crum brings that steadiness to the room. The guy who's been here, he's gone through the system. Like I said, this is his second time. So when he steps out there, I know that all 11 guys are going to be on the same page. Throwing aspect is obviously Jayden's strength. He's got a very strong arm. He can make all the throws with what we do in the splits. Bert brings that athleticism piece that we haven't had in a long time. Now, not to say that Jayden can't run around and make plays and stuff, but it's just kind of what their true strengths are is something that we haven't had in a while in this offense.
In addition to those qualities, Johnson also pointed out one other thing about Denegal that really stands out and could be the difference in choosing the starting quarterback.
The maturity level that he brings, like I said, yeah, this is year one in our system, but he does not carry himself like a year one quarterback. They've obviously had tremendous success, and he's been around guys like Coach Harbaugh, who is the cream of the crop when it comes to coaching. So the maturity when he steps in the room, everybody can look at that guy and say, yep, okay, he's going to put the work in, I got to put the work in. He's going to know what's going on, I got to know what's going on. I think he's got a national championship ring. You know what I mean? He's played at Ohio State. He's been in those situations before. So yeah, I mean, he's got situations, even though he wasn't out there on the field doing it, he has real life reps at big moments.
Coming out of high school, Denegal is a three-star prospect who committed to Michigan over programs like Michigan State, Arkansas, and Auburn, but appeared in just 4 games, playing backup to starter and 2024 NFL first-round draft pick J.J. McCarthy during Michigan's national championship season in 2023. And last season didn't appear in a single game as he moved to 4th string on the depth chart. Despite his lack of playing time, Denegal says his time at Michigan taught him a lot about what it takes to be a winning quarterback.
What I'm bringing from Michigan is just, even though, like you said, I didn't play as much, but being behind JJ, I learned so much behind him in that national championship year. Just learning how to prepare, how to attack every game, what a winning team looks like and what an arguing and non-connected team is. And I kind of just learned how to be a leader from him. And I'm going to take from what he did weekly and how he prepared Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for Saturday when we go out there and play. So that was the biggest thing, is preparation and help building the team camaraderie, I guess you could say.
Bert Emanuel Jr. comes to the Aztecs after 3 seasons at Central Michigan. Known for his speed, he had 844 rushing yards and 12 rushing touchdowns while playing in 13 games. And one of those games was against the Aztecs last year. In that game, he threw just 1 pass, but also rushed 6 times for 32 yards. Bert played against you guys last year. Of course, there was no thought at that moment that, hey, he might be an Aztec, but looking back there, do you think that might have helped a bit in him preparing?
Maybe some subliminal messaging, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, we did play against him, and I know, talking with our defensive guys, they were keenly aware of whenever he got on the field.
Johnson says coaches have to get creative, and that could mean playing both quarterbacks at times and possibly both at the same time. But that, of course, comes with some risks.
You know, you see it more nowadays with teams that have done, quote-unquote, 2 quarterback sets. You know what I mean? Top of mind comes Penn State. You know what I mean? They do a great job, but it's, it's a deal where, yeah, you're kind of holding your breath because if he is the backup, like, you don't want a cheap shot to happen and then he's hurt and all those things happen. But at the same time, like, we can't play scared.
But Emanuel Jr. says he's ready to help the team however he can, whether it's on the field or on the sideline.
Probably just be a great teammate. You know, I talked to Jayden when we first got here. I was like, you want the job, bro? I'm going to be the best teammate I can be for you. Like, if you need me to look at something, I'll look at it for you. And he was like, if you want a job, I'll do the same for you. So it's nothing too harsh. Like, obviously I want to win, but if I don't at the end of the day, I'm going to be the best teammate I could be.
The Aztecs went just 3-9 last season, losing their final 6 games. And despite hearing all year about the Aztec fast offense, it never really materialized. But in describing the strengths of this year's team, both Denegal and Emanuel Jr. emphasize qualities that should excite the fans this year.
The explosiveness, how much we're going to air the ball out, and we're going to control. We're going to kick perimeter game if you want to load the box. We're going to test you downfield, find one-on-ones. I like how explosive the offense can be, especially with the tempo. And I'm getting more and more comfortable with it day by day, and so is all of us. And I think it's been good.
The tempo. We go fast, we play fast. So, like, the Aztec fast is a real thing. It's not something they just say. So it was definitely the thing that caught me by surprise, and I like going fast.
Last season, the Aztecs started a true freshman quarterback in Danny O'Neal, who transferred to Wisconsin. But one notable difference among this group of quarterbacks is experience. And Coach Johnson talked about why that is so important.
Danny going through it last year was a true freshman. So even though it's these guys' first time going through the system, they're veteran players. They've played college ball before. But at the same time, there is still those year one things that we're working through where you can kind of look back and say, well, this is the same thing with last year. But I mean, every guy's a little different. Every situation's a little different. But these guys have done a great job of attacking the work.
So, Steve, will it be Denegal or Emanuel Jr. behind center in the opener Thursday, August 28th against Stony Brook? Coach Lewis says we'll know very soon, and possibly as soon as the FanFest scrimmage.
So, yes, Lewis, lots of questions about the typical storylines for a team that was 3-9 last season, what they need to do to improve, who's going to quarterback, who's playing defensive back, who are the running backs, who are the outbacks. No, I just made that one up. That's the steakhouse. But one thing that perked up my old cookie ears is when Coach Lewis mentioned his book club. Actually, it was homework for members of a council of team leaders he assembled. We met 2 biggies at Media Days in Ross Ulugalu Masauli and Trey White. And we're going to hear from Mountain West Special Teams preseason player of the year, Gabe Placencia, momentarily. And I believe that big offensive lineman Christian Jones is another, along with defensive stalwart Tano Latuli. But the Aztecs head coach says the weekly gathering is a way for coaches to check in on their guys and maybe hear a few things about their teammates and who's putting in the work during the off-season conditioning, and maybe adjust the coaching staff's approach to all the many things they tried out last year to connect during their first year with the players. So Monday, like I say, at one point early on, he talked about giving team leaders some homework, a book to read. And I asked him later on, what was the number 1 book on the Coach Lou Book Club's list? Surprising choice, to say the least, because it was written by a basketball guy, Jay Billis, on the subject of toughness. And it was a New York Times bestseller. These days, people know him as an ESPN analyst, but also a former Duke big man who coached under Blue Demons, Mike Krzyzewski. And he also got a law degree, reputedly a practicing attorney in North Carolina. Book's full title, Toughness, Developing True Strength on and Off the Court. And Billis says in so many words, forget about just plain physical strength. He shares stories from sports icons like Grant Hill and Mia Hamm. Reviewers say, as I have yet to pick it up, that showing toughness takes mental resilience, personal grit, and self-discipline. It's one of those books I love that inspires anyone to push through challenges and succeed. And it's one of the major reasons I truly enjoy covering any Aztec sports, because you've got young people being urged on by their coaches and their teammates to win, or at least do their dead-level best. And remember, you're part of a team that represents an educational institution on behalf of so many here in San Diego. But here's Coach Lou on the topic and how he came by the book.
Shout out Jay Billis. So it's a full breakdown of what it takes to be mentally, physically, and emotionally tough. Great read. We took it chapter by chapter, You don't really know how. Talk about like doing something different, doing something new. Like I've never sat there and passed out books to my guys. Like, hey, of course we can talk about NIL, we can talk about rev share. No, here's your book. I'm gonna give you homework. And to see them really embrace that and to do the readings and have the conversations, it was awesome. And I, commend their maturity and their character to really lean into it and not go like, what the heck's going on here? Like it led to some really great conversations and with some great tangible examples that, Jay Bills thinks basketball's awesome. I think football's better, right? So we had to kind of navigate some of that. But, it was a great read. It was an awesome journey for us to go on as the leaders of this team to do that work together. It was really cool.
How did you come by that book?
My wife gave it to me for Christmas. I devoured it over the Christmas holiday. I said, man, like the leaders of our team really, really need this, right? It's like my wife wants to know how physical we're going to be, how tough we're going to be. She likes a physical, tough football team. So I think she was indirectly trying to tell me something. Hey, maybe your team needs this. And you know whose comments I listen to? My wife's.
Lewis, as I said earlier, the man listens to his wife, which in my book automatically makes him a very, very, very smart man. But back to the toughness book. Had a chance to talk to place kicker Gabe Placencia. He says the preseason recognition is pretty cool, but at the end of the day, the team's looking to grab the big honor at the end of the season. It's a long shot Mountain West Championship, potential entry into the college football playoffs, and that means games that were lost last season on special teams need to be won this season, which means maybe reading that toughness book and putting it into practice. That might help, right?
It was good. It was a good book. We had meetings every week about it. It's a good insight on learning how toughness can be perceived. There's a lot of different things that go into it. It's not just the physical aspect, but more the mental aspect. And for me, it was cool because there was a lot of correlations between me and my specialty, which is kicking. And I know a lot of guys got a lot of that out of theirs too. So it was just cool to kind of sit back and see it like with a third point of view. So
your instinct as a football player during a return is to go down and hit somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
About dialing that back or not?
Yeah. Coach Barney gets mad at me a little bit about that, but at the end of the day, it's football. Like, I'm playing football. I want to help out the team, and if that's me making a tackle, I'm more than happy to go down and make a tackle.
So if you listened to Gabe talk last year during the fall camp, he does not shy away from contact even though he is a kicker, which in my book makes him a true football player. And Lewis, speaking of true football players, edge rusher Trey White, who you visited with during Mountain West Media Days, is another of those team leaders. He says this fall everyone has energy, they're paying attention to detail, and it was good to see fewer mistakes at the beginning of this fall camp as opposed to year one of Coach Lou's Aztec Fast mode. Trey talks like a true leader. He seeks to set a good example and do whatever it takes to make the players around him better. The Billis book on toughness makes reference early on to talking on defense, communicating with your fellow players. So I wondered what his takeaway was from that aspect of the book.
Communication is huge. You guys all got to be on the same page if you want to run the play right, because I know last year when we were watching back film, if one person wasn't on the same page, that's when we would have a complete bust on defense. And then when everybody was set, ready to go, that's when we played our best ball. So I feel like communication and knowing what to do is a huge part of defense.
So Trey White sounds like he's in all business mode now that it's the fall, one of 18 guys on the team from San Diego. The defense has 11 guys back who started or played key roles. So Lewis looking for defense to be a strength of this team, as I thought it was last season. But it's tough to win games at any level if you're playing an up-tempo offense and your offense struggles with controlling the line of scrimmage, the time of possession, and ultimately the scoreboard. But there are 3 phases of what football coaches like to call the ultimate team game. Personally looking for improvement in all 3 phases. The question is, how much of the teams they are facing in conference games this season, how much have they improved themselves? It's not like they've just been standing still, right?
Steve, the Mountain West Conference features 2 of the nation's best linebackers, and both played their high school ball in San Diego County. Of course, Aztecs fans are all too familiar with Trey White, who led the Mountain West in sacks last season with 12.5, but right behind him in second place was Boise State's Jayden Virgin Morgan with 10. White is from the South Bay and played at Eastlake High School in Chula Vista, and Virgin Morgan played at Mount Carmel High School in Rancho Penasquitos. You might be wondering why the Aztecs didn't also end up with Virgin Morgan. Well, they were a bit too late.
I'd say SDSU approached me a little bit after I had committed to Boise State. But, I mean, I just love the atmosphere in Boise. It's amazing. It's completely different. It's second to none. It's just a complete different place than a lot of people would think. I mean, it's a lot different than San Diego, yes, but just the atmosphere, especially in the locker room, even before our new coaching staff, whatever it is, was there, it was the same atmosphere. Like, the brotherhood is amazing, and I love my family, and I'm all about my family, and just being able to see the brotherhood and how tight-knit the group was amazing to see, and that's one of the biggest reasons that I ended up at Boise State.
Steve, there's definitely mutual respect between Virgin Morgan and White, and while they play on different teams, they do keep an eye on each other during the season, and that seems to push each of them.
I'd say it's a pretty big competition for sure. I think one of the biggest things that we both have is we're both relentless pass rushers. That's one thing that'll always get you sacks. Like, if your first move doesn't work, you got to use a second move, you got to use a third move, whatever it is to get to the passer. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we have in common for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard not to, you see they're balling out there on the field, so it's always that friendly competition, but nothing but love and respect for him. He's a local San Diego kid too, so we got tons of respect for him in his game, and that's my guy.
White and Virgin Morgan are gaining some national recognition. Both are named on the Bronco Nagurski Trophy watch list after White finished 4th in the nation in sacks last season, while Virgin Morgan finished 19th for Boise State, which actually led the FBS in sacks. The Nagurski Award goes to the best defensive player in college football. While Virgin Morgan plays strictly on defense in college, at Mount Carmel, he was a two-way player, totaling 144 tackles and 20 sacks on defense and 73 receptions and 15 touchdowns as a tight end.
I mean, I'd say San Diego is a really underrated place. I feel like there's a lot of really, really good players that come out of San Diego, and I think a lot of recruiting needs to look a little bit better in San Diego, but I think San Diego is a great spot and is a great place for a lot of athletes that come out of it.
Steve, Trey, and Jayden don't get to see each other play in person very often, but they will on Saturday, November 15th, when the Aztecs host Boise State at Snapdragon Stadium.
Thank you, Lewis, and that'll wrap up this edition of Aztecs All In. Don't forget, you can follow us on the X, Aztecs_all_in, and you can send some darts or hand out a few laurels by sending us an email to our Gmail account. That's aztecsallin@gmail.com. So for Lewis Weiner, this is Steve Perez saying we will talk to you again soon.